line, and tonight we've got Jamie, AD, Chris, and
You're not
Claire in.
on.
What?
You're not on.
It's not come on. It's
No.
not come on. Oh, it should be kicking in now. There
Oh,
you go.
so
There's normally a bit of a lag.
Hey, everybody.
So just be mindful. I was getting a bit worried then, AD.
Well spotted.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm really sorry for everyone who planned on watching the live last night, but obviously I was in A&E. But I'm on the mend. My ribs are a bit bashed and bruised, but yeah, it is what it is, and what can I do about it? It's just a perk of my job. But we're going to move on from it. Tonight we're going to talk about tomatoes. We'll probably digress, just like we always do, but the main bulk is probably going to be talking about tomatoes and preparing, getting things ready, what we're going to be sowing, because I'm sure Chris has got a few things up his sleeve for this year, but I got a few things to ask him as well. So how are everyone? Are you all okay? How are you, Jamie?
I'm doing brilliant, thank you.
This is your first first garden live, right?
Hey, welcome.
Yeah,
welcome.
that's right. Yeah, so I've done previous with gaming, but it's completely different to obviously gardening. So
no swearing tonight, everyone. To the newbies. AD, no swearing from you.
yeah, I've got my lock filter in.
So AD, this is your first live as well, right?
It is, yeah.
Got two newbies tonight. You'll be fine. Chris was nervous. Claire was nervous when they first did it, but now look at them now. They could take over the show now.
I'm still nervous.
No.
You never know what's going to happen on this show.
No, never.
Don't ever relax.
No. How are you, Chris?
Yeah, I'm good.
All
Thank you very
good?
much. Yeah, all good. Yeah.
What about you,
Yeah.
Claire? You all
I'm
raring
alright.
to go?
Yeah, excited.
I'll do the paperwork and I'll quickly say hello to a few people, but this is gonna be a rush through. Jean, the veg plot. Oh, that's you, Claire. Jean, I'm saying hello to the people. That's you. So Jean again, Karen, Mel, Wendy, Jem in the garden. Thank you so much for coming on, moderating. Debs, lovely to see you on. Nice to see you on, Locke. Yeah, Steve Colwyn, nice to see you on. Jay, Joe's Pat, Siggy, Dog. Hi, Kerry, nice to see you, Dog in the plot.
There's Ali. Yeah.
Ali's in, Freddie's in. Nice to see you, Freddie. Emma's in. Annie's in, nice to see you on. Annie, your Brad's Atomic got sent today. So I waddled off to the post box outside my house and pushed the envelope because I didn't want it to be delayed anymore for you. Jersey, CI Dave, Brenda, Margaret, Ammerford allotment here, Karen in the garden, the Lottie Plotty. That's your sister, isn't it, Claire?
That's my sister. That's Joanna.
That's your sister. I'm watching you, Joanna. Hi, Ollie. Nice to see you on. Sarah, Andy. So if I disappear, it might be because I gotta go get some pain relief or something. But Chris is the second in command here tonight, and then
I've only just been told that.
Just been told that.
Yeah.
So if I've missed anyone, I'm sorry. So there is loads more there. So hello everyone. Let's get on. Let's start. So I've started today. So AD, we'll start with you because you said you started in January, right?
Yeah, I've started mine 21st of January.
Wow, that is a bit of dedication. I've done that before, but the only thing that stopped me from starting earlier was these live shows, because normally this room is full of tomato plants. But
Are you using grow lights then, AD?
No, just in the
right.
window. They're doing fine.
They're amazing though. I thought they'd be really kind of
Leggy at the start, but I've just sunk them right the way down.
So, yeah. Right. And then there's Claire then spent 12 grand on her growing station.
It's getting bigger. I've taken over the kitchen, and I also have my tomato. This is just a house tomato. It is grown under grow lights. This is called Red Robin. That tomato smell. Oh, miss that.
I've never heard of the Red Robin one. I've always did that.
Tiny Tim. I've sown Tiny Tim as well, and some Aztec, which are little yellow cherry tomatoes as well, but all house tomatoes. But I haven't sown the proper ones.
I did Latar and house, and AD, you actually sent me some more seeds, and so they were sown as well, but they're in, and I've even got. Hold on a sec.
Don't twist too much.
I know.
Slowly.
This is the veggie plot. This is all Chris's.
Oh, wow. Fantastic.
So every single one in this. No pressure, Chris. No
When
pressure.
you put them in 10 weeks ago. Oh, God.
I put them in. No, I did it delicately today. Oh, tell you, I had to do something. I've been climbing the walls here, but yeah.
I did speak to somebody who'd put theirs in a week or so ago, and she said they'd all come up. So fingers crossed. Well,
they're in the cloche on a heat mat and lights later on, but we'll see. I turned it off today because I didn't want it to be glowing in here. So yeah. Oh, it's all going on. I love this time though. I'm like a little bit annoyed that I've broke my ribs and bust my ribs, and that's going to delay me a little bit on the manual work and stuff. But
you've done a lot of it, haven't you? Thank God.
It's the fruit cage that's really. I was looking forward to these 3 days off to do the fruit cage, so that's a little bit. But I've had people even offer from the hospital come over, like staff, to build the fruit cage, and and fair play to Linda, and other people have offered as well to come over and do things. I think Linda's actually going to be doing a little bit of digging for me this week, so bless her. It's only one part that something needs to be dug up now before it's coming out of dormancy. So I really need it dug up, put in a pot, and taken down, ready to be put into the fruit cage. So she's really helped me out with that. But I can't do nothing. I'm literally watching how I turn, but I can sow seeds and things. So but tomatoes it's okay. Like I'm happy that I've got this little bit of time now to sow my tomatoes.
You've got a good few weeks, haven't you? A month or two or stuff before you've got to do anything much with them. So
so if it was later on, I'd probably be a little bit more concerned of how I'm going to transport them to the plot and things, because the car has to be all taken, put all flat, and it's like you're transporting things around. But at the moment, I'm struggling, to even get in the car and stuff. So but it is what it is.
It'll clear up eventually. I don't know how long that sort of injury takes, but
about 6 to 8 weeks. So but it is what it is. It's just when those things happened, and it's typical. So if you haven't already, click like on this live and feel sorry for me. I did think, how could I out trump these lives? I think I've done about 20 odd of these now, and I had COVID through one of them, and I did the live. I had a chest infection, and I plodded through, and I just up the ante now, breaking,
don't take it any further, will you?
Yeah,
this is as far as we go. Yeah,
and neck braces next, But I'll do it. It's all for sympathy. Let's just quickly have a look at the chat. I haven't got nobody, so just to warn you all, Linda's out in the pop, and it's a Friday night, so I haven't got anyone that's watching the questions. So if you do write a question, please try and put it in capitals, and I'll try and keep an eye on it and answer it. But tonight is a little bit of a let's just hope for the best live. So right, let's have a quickly look and see what's going on with the chat. Have I missed it? Have anyone seen anything that I've missed? No?
I've not noticed anything so far.
I'm just looking now.
I see Joe's put something about brandywine cherry. I think I grew that the last couple of years, not doing it this year, but that's if you haven't grown that, that's quite an interesting
I think you
cherry
said
tomato.
That was in the seed.
I sent you that.
I think.
That's a potato leaf variety, isn't it?
Yeah, I think so. But it's just the trusses. There's just loads of them, and they hang on there for like all season. It's extraordinary. They just rot on the vine. It's mad.
I sowed both of them. Hold on, I should have put these foot closer, shouldn't I?
Yeah, keep them next to you.
I've sowed clays in the one tray, and I got a feeling that Chris, you sent me 2 in that seed packet as well. I'm going to leave that now because I keep turning back and forth. But there's 2 brandywine in there. I've sown them anyway because they were there. But I've sown them once before, and they were really, really nice. But
lovely colour, sort of a pinkish cherry sort of colour.
I don't even know if I've actually sown an actual red tomato. I have. I've sown I've sown Heinz 1350, which is one of my favourites. So that's a classic tomato.
Is that for making sauces with? Then you're doing something like that?
And ketchups. I've got like this recipe that I've been perfecting for about this will be my 4th year now, and last year was the year where I feel like I've perfected it. So, and I found that the Heinz ones were the best for the ketchup that I make. So I do make other ones from other ones. Like I did a Brad's Atomic one, and I did a Cherokee purple one, but it would come out really, really brown. So
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Yeah.
People were getting a little bit confused, thinking it was like a barbecue sauce or a brown sauce. So
Daddy's brown sauce, yeah.
Yeah. Right, we've got a question. Jim, first question, not about tomatoes, but we'll answer it anyway. What veg would you recommend I use my nettle feed on? Just probably everything that needs a nitrogen feed, really. Chris, do you agree?
Well, nettle's supposed to be really good for all sorts of things, isn't it? You know, especially you cut them and soak them in water and let them rot down. Yeah, I think if you then dilute that, you can then use that on most crops, I think.
Hold on a sec.
Ooh. It's making me wince too.
They're the worst ones. Locke's given 10 more memberships out. Thank you, Locke. That's really kind of you. Jane Kelly's in there wincing at that. So nettle feeds, it's okay, but just be mindful not to put it on things like small seedlings that don't need that boost at the start. Because I've seen people over, even on my allotment site, they're giving their plants early on in the season, seaweed feeds and comfrey feeds and all. And it's like, no, sometimes, and I've seen someone pouring it all over their potatoes, and that's like the worst thing to do, is to give potatoes a nitrogen boost, because you want more tubers rather than leaf growth. So just be mindful just to hold off on the feeds for a bit. I tend to only go on.
There was a good question from James there asking what tomatoes are you growing outside. That's quite an interesting one for myself, because obviously I don't really have a dedicated area that's got chickens in it at the minute. So if I can start something off and grow it outside, it'd be quite handy.
Yeah, I've got a few here that are for outside, really, and I'll show you them now.
Do you still get as much tomatoes off them and stuff? Do they still? You
do. The only difference is that I found, like I've done like the usual ones, like Crimson Crush and all. A lot of people say they don't like them. They're not as good in flavour. But I know Muddy Boots absolutely loves Crimson Crush, and he swears by them. I think it's down to your preference, really. Like, the only thing that I found with them is that you get a lot of tomatoes, and they are blight resistant to a degree. But I feel like blight's taken them at hold of it now, and they're not becoming as resistant as they used to be. But I've got a few here that I've got that are blight resistant, so I'll show you now. So I've got like this one's called Consuela, and these are quite small ones, but they're blight resistant.
All right.
And I've also got another crush variety, so I'm guessing this one might be as well. Yeah, it is. So this one's called Cocktail Crush, and that one's blight resistant as well. So basically, anyone that's kind of got like the crush in the name.
I've got Rose Crush.
Yeah, they tend to be blight resistant and stuff. So
I've also
you can get tomatoes that are blight.
I don't know if people can see that. Divinity F1 is another blight resistant one I've got.
I think a lot of them are now. Like I do grow outside anyway, but I've kind of under the understanding that I put out non-blight resistant tomatoes outside as well, and I just hope for the best. That's what I tend to do, and it once it gets in the polytunnel, it gets in the polytunnel. But touch wood, I've not had it in since.
Yeah, I mean I've grown Crimson Blush, not Crush, and that's a slightly bigger, pinkier beefsteak one, and that's not too bad actually. That's quite good. Yeah. But I don't grow any outside anymore.
My biggest advice would be though, they do, but my biggest advice would be to, if you're going to grow tomatoes outside, whatever spacing you normally do in a tunnel, give them a little bit more. You think you're outside, but they do need that bit of space, because they're getting quite a lot of rainwater. And if you can as well, last year or the year before on the grapevine, I grew outside and I put like a tarp over the top. They don't grow as tall, the ones that I use. I think the Crimson Crush only go a certain height. You know, they don't shoot right up, and I put a cover over to kind of stop the amount of water going on them, and also it's the moisture levels as well. But yeah, anything with a crush on, but you might lose out on a bit of flavour. We're all indoor growers though, aren't we? So
I do mine outside as well. The Gushovka.
right.
That's only a 3-foot bush one. So that's a
And
real
what's
big
that one
apple.
called? What's that one called, AD?
Gushovka.
Ooh.
Grushovka.
Grushovka.
Oh,
Real seeds.
Right.
well,
There's so many out there, 10,000 varieties. So I think
Yeah.
yeah.
I near all of them. Yeah.
It's like the size of an apple as well, so you get real good sizes off them.
Yeah.
Mm. Yeah, like Digwell just mentioned now, saying that, let me on. Not that I like to give that man any publicity on my channel, but he says the bonus gain from the better taste from growing outdoors far outweighs the blight risks. Yeah, like some people will say that they don't taste as good, but I personally try and grow most of mine indoors, but I am growing quite a few of these outside this year because I made the mistake of asking everyone on a live to send me tomato seeds, and now I'm up to like 60, I think it's 68 varieties. But I need to be brutal tomorrow, and I'm going to play that little X Factor game I said where I
think if we get a good summer and it's dry and not too damp, then
exactly
you can have a great year, can't you? And it's like last year was really good, but the year or year before that was a disaster.
horrific. Yeah. But you know.
Depends.
I just think that you just spin that dice, don't you, with the tomatoes, and the
risk.
same with the potatoes as well. You know, just and if you're going to grow them outside, try and not grow them so close to your potatoes as well, because if you get the blight on the one, you get it on them both. So yeah, I think there was another question as well, but I've lost it now. This is not good when I am going to moderate that's in the chat thing. So yeah, someone just said. Oh, you are. Jean Halliwell just said, I grow Battelli cherry toms outside in Derbyshire. Huge trusses, if around 70 toms, beautiful flavour.
Great. And are they blight resistant then, or are they just a regular?
Yeah, Jean, are they blight resistant? Yeah, so Jane just said the same thing. She just said, like, she finds the blight resistant ones haven't got as much flavour. But I know that Muddy Boots, he swears by him, so...
I rate Muddy Boots. He's really good at what he does. Yeah.
Well, he's all right, I suppose.
He's not as good as us.
He's not good. I wouldn't say that. He's probably.
I think he's amazing.
Danny, could you share your ketchup recipe, please? I bought the Heinz 1350 after you told us about it, and of course I will, Jean. I shall.
Good. I like the idea of that too.
Honestly, Claire, the ketchup, I cannot even tell you. And the good thing about my ketchup is that you can just, if you're at home and you think, you know what, because it doesn't last as long. They say a couple of weeks, but the vinegar consistency that I put in isn't too much. But I found that it lasts and the taste is still there after 3 months. But what I tend to do is after about 2 months, I just pour it into a bolognese, and the consistency is just as nice, and it's beautiful in a bolognese as well. So. Yeah. So, well, I've still got some in the freezer now, and that was where I was going for it. So, if I make a batch lot up, I put it in the freezer, and then sometimes I might be at home and I use it more as a tomato dip as well. So I'll defrost one, and I might have some like little nuggets and things like that. And I'm just watching the TV. It's got a real good consistency. I promised last year I would do it. I'll make a ketchup video. But Linda, the Feel Good Garden, I was supplying her tomatoes all summer because she was new to growing, and I felt bad that she didn't have no tomatoes, so she had a lot of bulk of mine. But this year, nobody's having them. If you got blight on my site this year and you're watching, it's dog eat dog. The Lottie Plotty says, do you use halos? I do and I don't. I got a pile of them. I forgot to put them on the tomato plants last year, and then I strung them all up and then remembered that they were outside the polytunnel. But,
are you listening, Joe? Don't forget to put them on.
Yeah, but they are good. Chris, you've used them before, haven't you? The halos?
No, I haven't. No, not at all.
No.
No.
Oh no, it was Mark's. It was Mark's allotment. that
I
did
was
it.
actually wondering if the halos had helped stop slugs getting to the tomatoes, because obviously there's the reservoir of water that they'd have to
Do you know
sort of
what?
come
I've
over the
never
sides. and-
noticed. I've never had any
Never had a
issue with
problem.
slugs eating tomatoes, so you'd be okay.
Oh, that's
Maybe
all
that's
right
just
then.
in the polytunnel. Maybe in the garden. I don't know. But
Yeah,
I'm not
even
sure.
then, what I did last was it last year? The year before, I grew Crimson Crush outside, and I grew them right next to the runner beans. And you know what? I never had any slug attacks on my runner beans. I don't know whether or not they just don't like the smell of the tomatoes thing, but I don't know why.
I'll bear
they
that
just-
in mind.
Yeah, and I also put what did I grow? Oh, I tell you what else I grew, because normally what happens is, so I did another experiment as well where I put the Crimson Crush and I planted sunflowers in the middle. And you know what? Normally slugs, they munched out the ground. They not one slug attack on the sunflowers. I had the best year of sunflowers ever. So I think it's the smell of the tomatoes that really, I don't know, but maybe we'll
See,
have
now
a
they
little go with it.
They say not to plant things under sunflowers because it stops
know.
them growing as well, but it doesn't affect your tomatoes either.
I do agree with that. It didn't affect either one of those. So yeah. Liz Hodges said, can you recommend some online sites for buying tomato seeds? Well, I can highly recommend you going and getting Chris, getting some of Chris's free with his book.
Oh yeah, I've stopped doing them now.
Oh, have you? I was going to plug
Well, I
that.
figured it was actually, I think everybody was sort of ready and planting, so I just stopped doing them. But I can recommend a few others. But yeah,
what about your book though, Chris?
The book's still going, yeah, but I'm just not doing the seeds, yeah, at the moment. Yeah.
Am I allowed to say where I've bought most of mine from?
You may.
So I've got quite a few packets here, and I'll hold them up higher. I've bought most of mine from Tomato Revolution.
Yeah,
I've seen Chris mention it a few times, and I've never used them. Mainly because Ali tends to send me a big bulk of seeds, and she's
a good one, is Ali?
She's a good egg, that girl. I think she's on actually next week.
She is, isn't she?
Be prepared for that one, let me tell you.
Swear box on the table.
Swear box on the. I'm gonna have to put a beeper on you. Yeah, but
yeah, I use Tomato Revolution too. Lance, it's who runs it, isn't it? He's UK. He's good. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think they're good value. You get
different ones in there. Yeah.
And you get quite a few seeds for buying a more specialist seed. There are at least 20 seeds in a packet, which actually isn't too bad for that kind of seed, is it? Yeah.
And you can save seeds because I think they're all heirloom and so on. So basically, you can save tomatoes and regrow them the next year. So
that's the plan.
That's the plan. Another good one is Niall at NR Tomato Seed. He's another UK grower, and I think Lucy, she grows veg. I get from her as well. She does some good ones.
Funny enough, I don't know if I got any packets here now, but I sowed hers today as well. Oh yes, I have. I thought I showed you this earlier on, but I need to be careful now. Oh yeah, here they are, right in front of me. Yeah, so I sowed sheets, and I gotta make sure that I said this right. She grows veg, is it?
She grows veg, yeah.
She grows veg, but so these are the ones that I bought off her. They were the Tomato Atomic Fusion. So they're supposed to be the improved version of the Atomic Grape. So I'm going to grow Brad's Atomic Grape next to these and do a comparison. Well, the only thing that I'm not running down any company and all like that. I'm sure she's a lovely person. The only thing that I found with, and this is just me being honest, only because I purchased these myself, is that I found that there's not many seeds in the She Grows Veg packets. I had quite a few varieties, and they're about £3.50 a packet. And that's not me slating her company, and I wish her all the best with it, but the novelty and the colours and all of that. So they are worth it. But I'm just saying, if if I do mention these, I just wanted my viewers to be prepared that if I recommend them, that some of the seeds packets I've opened, there's enough in there to try it, but there's not enough in there where you think, oh, I could do a massive sowing of some of the things, So, but I'm sure, like how many Brads are,
how are you going to grow?
Exactly. But I mean, like things like I had like the pink chicory as well, and there was enough in there maybe to do like 2 beds. That's what I mean.
Right.
But it was about £3.50 a packet. But I will say you can't. I've not been able to find those seeds anywhere else. So that's probably where the price increased a little bit, because everything that she sells is absolutely amazing. Like the tomato, like the carrots that I'm growing. I think I'm going to show it on this Sunday's video. Some of the varieties that I bought from her, and I generally do rate that what she's selling, because I've never seen some of the things that she's selling before. So
she's a new company, isn't it? She's importing quite quirky seeds.
Very quirky.
But doing it properly, like she's a proper seed company now. So
yeah. So I'm not slating her at all. I'm just saying that, if you're expecting like some of the cheaper brands where you can get like quite a lot, like when I buy greyhound cabbages, you know for a fact they send you about 10,000 cabbage seeds, and you're like, why? But I do agree with that. You're probably paying for the fact that you haven't grown them yet, and they're quirky and they're nice. So yeah, I do wish her all the best with her little venture.
I'll be interested to know what those are like, because I'm not growing Brad's Atomic Grape this year. Just they ripened too late in the season for me, and so
well. I believe these ones give more, and they're more spread out for the season. So, Chris, if you do want some of these, I've already sold mine, so I have got quite a few in here. So,
that's very kind of you, Danny. I don't know where I'll put them, but I'd like.
You'll find somewhere.
They'll be going outside. Yeah, it would be interesting. Thanks.
I'm clicking the questions now without even looking. How many trusses do you all do before you pinch top growth out? 4 or more, and then let them mature. I pinch mine out when they're at the top of the polytunnel. That's my rule. Yeah. Claire, you're this is your first year with a polytunnel, isn't it, Claire?
It is. It is. I was thinking that I was going to start, this is a bit technical for me, that I will pinch the top out around the 10th of August so that what's on there will mature, hopefully. That's my thought.
Must admit, I don't go by a date. So when they get there, then they get nipped.
It's around middle of August.
I think if you're going to do that, the Brad's Atomics might not get to the top before then, because sometimes they do. Some of them will go straight to the top.
Yeah.
Hey, you're a YouTuber. It's the rules. It's the rules.
I have bought some more for pretty colours for the basket.
Yeah, that's the rules as well.
What did I have to? Oh, I bought this one. This was a new one. I thought I haven't got a yellow one for my basket, so I thought better buy that one. So
what's it called, Claire?
Well, I'll have to put my glasses on, won't I?
You will.
Great Yellow Blue. And then I also bought Great Yellow Blue, it's called. And then I also bought Queen of the Night as well.
I'm doing honeycomb again this year.
Oh, lovely.
So I'm doing honeycomb again. I think I've got... Have I got a picture of honeycomb? Yes, I have. So I'm doing honeycomb.
They're so good.
Nice.
I've said this before, but I find they're better than the Sun Gold.
They're not just sweet. There's all sorts of levels of flavours in there. They're really good. Yeah.
Jamie, this is your first year. Is this your first year with tomatoes, or
on my plot altogether? I took it on October last year. It was.
So you was right at the end.
Yeah. So I didn't get any growing. It was all just cutting it back, putting weed membrane down, killing off all the weeds that were there, getting it ready for this year.
So you're in the same boat as Claire, really. But Claire, you've grown tomatoes before in your...
I did last year, yeah. But I didn't grow them from seed. I bought them. We started in June last year. So I think I had Tigerella. It was supposed to be a tumbling Tom, but it wasn't. And then there was 2 beefsteaks, and that's what started it for me. All of this, anyone that's been watching my channel, the plot and everything all came about because a neighbouring farmer gave us 2 tomato plants. And it's somehow escalated to the levels we've got now. And as I said to you all before,
20 grand.
I don't think it's cost that much. But I mean, I don't even like tomatoes, so sorry.
Crazy. Well, thanks for coming on, Claire, and talking about tomatoes, encouraging everyone. Jamie, you've got chickens in your greenhouse at the moment, don't you?
I do, yeah. They're 5 weeks old yesterday, so that's my tomato area. I'm cheating this year and buying. I mean, I might. Yeah. I've written down some of the ones you said that you can grow outside. I've got them saved on my Google. The Consuelo.
Oh, Jamie, don't bother me. I'll send you some of the seeds of the outdoor ones if you want.
Sure.
But don't. Jane's already tutted in the chat going, he won't send them. But no, that's my ambition this year, to get better at. And since I'm, resting at home at the moment, I have got time to put seeds in envelopes and the post boxes right outside my house.
If you don't mind, that'd be fantastic. If not,
yeah,
like,
I'll send you quite a few varieties of outdoor ones as well.
And then that way I can sort of grow them myself. But the guy that I'm getting the tomato seedlings from, I don't know if you've heard of Dreadnought tomatoes. No. So he's had these tomatoes since the 1960s.
Wow.
He got it off of one of his neighbors, and his neighbors actually passed away. So he grows this variety every year, saves the seed and grows it to try and keep his old neighbors.
Yeah, everyone's Googling now Dreadnought.
Keep his legacy alive, essentially. So I'm getting some of them off it, and I'm going to try do the same. I tried having a Google, and the only thing I could find was on, what was the website? And it basically just sort of gave a brief overview that they're like, what was the word? You've used the word earlier.
Indeterminate, or
they're like a heritage seed.
A heritage,
an heirloom.
Heirloom, that's the one.
Chris is getting excited now. He'll ask you.
So, like I say, apparently he's been growing these since the 1960s. So it'll be quite interesting to see if I can then save the seed and grow it on next year.
Well, if you can, send it to Chris, and then he can put them in his next.
Definitely, I'll send
him. Put them in his catalogue.
Yeah.
Yeah, that'd be if that's not going to get people to come over and subscribe to your channel, I do not know what is. So yeah, well, good luck on those anyway.
Thank you. Fingers crossed.
I'll be keeping an eye on those as well, and if they're good ones, then they could be the next Brad Atomic that takes over the world. Jamie, there's one other thing I want to talk about as well, and I noticed this, and I thought. So you sent me a picture over to use on the thing, and you've got a One Direction mug.
Yeah. So there's nothing wrong with One Direction, to be fair. But like, when
my favourite's not on there, so I don't.
No,
you can't see Harry Styles on there.
The side. He's on the other side. I'm looking at him. That's why. But it's because when me and my wife first started dating, it became sort of a bit of a joke because I commented on one of their songs on the radio. Oh, this is a good song. She even bought me like their tour DVD. Right? So I've just sort of used that. I was sat in the cupboard. It's now my allotment mug. So that's
the excuse, and that's where you're going with.
Yep, I'm sticking to it as well.
I remember once leaving the hospital, and I got her outside the house and listened to the radio. And One Direction, they were playing 3 or 4 One Direction songs in a row. And I sat there and listened to them all. And I thought, what's happened to my life? It's like 9 o'clock at night, and I decided to stay in the car in the rain and listen to these. And that's when I realized that things are now
change.
Things that to change. So there you go. Our allotment plots, Rachel just said, I'll pop you up. I have about 30 on the go, so probably don't need that many.
Oh, that'd be brilliant. Thank you.
Jamie, your greenhouse, so that was inherited on your plot, was it?
No, one of the older gentlemen on the plot, he lives at like an assisted care home. It's, one of the ones you can come and go.
Yeah.
And they had one on their site that the manager was just going to bin. And he said, whoa, don't bin that. I know somebody that would make good use of it still.
Oh, wow.
So I just had to go up, dismantle it, and then built it on the site.
Is it wood?
Yeah. So it's wood with, is it polycarbonate sheets in it? I think it is, rather than glass.
Right.
So it'll do until I can sort of, I don't know, save up and invest in a proper one maybe, or.
Nah, it looks great.
I mean, the job,
half my greenhouse is polycarbonate. All the bits are broken. It's just easier to stick in a bit of poly, isn't it?
Yeah.
Don't listen to Chris as if he's like, he's scrimping by on things. He got the poshest polytunnel made by himself.
Oh, you don't. My wife and I were just doing the seeds yesterday. I was doing the seeds, and she come down with a cup of tea. Bless her. Thanks very much. And she walked out and she said, "Looks like the top of the polytunnel's ripped." I went, "Oh no!" So I went outside, and just on the bits, it's torn. So I've been patching it all today, and so I'm sellotaping it up. You say he's fixing everything with sellotape.
No.
Oh, nightmare.
Oh God, that was the last storm we had, we lost so many polytunnels, so they're all gutted that they're ready for the season and they're now trying to sort them out. AD,
Yeah.
I've decided I'm going to put you in the category, which I've not done this very often, of posh, like Mayu at Spuds and Roses and Kerry at Dog on the Plot. You're officially number 3. This is a bit of a posh one. This is, isn't it? Look at that.
Gorgeous.
Ooh.
Did you build this
Absolutely
yourself,
gorgeous.
or
I built that, yeah.
Yeah, that's solid.
You were
I built it.
you were officially posh number 3? We've got Kerry, Mayu, and now Adie's in the group. You, dog. She just said. Kerry just said, "No, here we go." You are officially the poshest gardener that I know. Did you get some inspiration from Bristol Veggie Plots about this?
No,
Have you
I've
seen-
actually bought it before then. I was
Wow.
building it at the same time.
You're just
It's
saying
really
that,
tall.
aren't you? Yeah.
It's got a nice height to it.
It's lovely,
Yeah,
isn't
actually,
it?
Yeah.
that was
I'm going to put it back up again because it's an impressive greenhouse.
Yeah, it's solid, isn't it?
that was the end of June, so I was literally just topping off at the end of June.
Yeah.
Did my tomatoes last year or the year before.
How deep's that then? How
Jamie,
long is that?
don't plant your greenhouse up that densely.
Sorry, Chris.
Yeah, I was really.
I'll say
How
how
big is
big
it?
is it? What are the dimensions of it?
10 foot by 14, I think.
Yeah, that's
Wow.
good, isn't it?
Or was it 20
Well, you look
by
at that from the house,
by
don't you?
8.
It's in your garden, so
Yeah,
you need something pretty, don't you, when you're looking at it?
Well,
I
that's
love it.
it.
It's beautiful.
It's all polycarbonate, so I don't have to worry about any
Glass
sun,
getting
the
broken.
sun.
Mm.
It doesn't.
It doesn't pop out the polycarbonate either.
No, we live on a hill. We're very exposed. That's why everything's chunky.
Do you seal the top of the polycarb? That's the only thing I've noticed about it because it has all the holes in it, gets algae in it and stuff. Do you seal it or is it sealed?
yeah.
Yeah, good idea. I wish I'd done that. Worth doing.
Just take it out and wash it.
Yeah, I could and should. Yeah.
It looks. I seen that and I thought that's a boy's greenhouse size, but I think your greenhouse is on par with Annie's. I'm going to show Annie's again now because I love Annie.
Oh, I love Annie's.
I show
yeah.
Annie's a lot. Annie's greenhouse is the greenhouse of beauty, isn't it? But well done, Andy, for building that because that's a fairly decent, and it looks like it's going to last a long time as well.
Hopefully, yeah.
Nicola's
Chris,
sent you a good question. Nicola, Cornish
yes, I
Heaven.
will.
Can you see it? If you could only grow one type of tomato, what would you grow?
If you could only grow, we'll start from not by asking Jamie. Jamie, we know what you're going to say.
I don't know.
You say the ones you're growing this year.
Oh yeah, I'll go with that. The one I'm growing this year.
AD, what about you, AD? What would you grow?
Outside will be Grushovka.
Ooh.
Krzyzofka.
Yeah.
What about indoors?
Indoors, Harry's Italian plum. It's the size of a pepper.
Wow.
Wow.
And is that just an eater or for cooking with or for...
Both are just cooking, really. Well,
Right.
you can eat them both raw.
Right.
But once the Grushovka, you just cut it in half, just peel off the skin.
Right.
Mm.
Is it red or is it some...
Yeah,
something-
it's red, yeah.
Yeah.
But the Harry's, there's no seeds in it.
Right.
I said it's the size of a sweet pepper.
Yeah.
I
Tomatoes are extraordinary, aren't they? You get some that look like salamis, some which look like pears,
Yeah,
some that look
I
like
showed-
plums. It's just mad.
I think I showed last year. I think it was last live the pink. Oh yeah, there you go, the pink.
Oh, yeah.
And I mean, if someone gave you that in the supermarket, you wouldn't think that was a tomato. It looks like a red peanut.
I
Bit
thought
bigger,
it was
I think.
a water balloon or something.
I'm going to say it looks like
Yeah.
a balloon not properly blown up.
And I mean, I always try and show the black strawberry. I mean, some of the colours that you get, the orange accordion is.
Oh, look at them.
They look
Wow.
lovely.
I did have seeds for them last year off Audrey, and Real Food Comes Dirty, but I had like fungus gnats, and we'll talk about them in a minute now, but I had fungus gnats and they took every single one of those orange accordion out. But I showed this one as well, the Anana Soa, and I think there's a few names for this, but that's the name that I always use. But Chris, have you grown these ones before?
Anas Noir.
Yeah.
No, my first year this year.
Wow. Oh, so
Yeah.
they are beautiful. Honestly,
Yeah,
even
I've
they are
seen them on lots of sites and they're all over the place.
they
but-
generally do look like this. I've got a video last summer where I cut one open up on camera to show, and when
Yeah.
you open up, they're exactly like that. You know,
Yeah.
this,
What sort of size do they grow to? Are they only sort of small, and then you?
no, about they're quite a big
Sort of,
tomato, really.
yeah,
I think,
beefsteak one.
yeah, a bit of a beef. They're
Wow.
probably about the size of like, my head. Yeah. So
Yeah.
let's talk about. So, what would you say yours is, Chris? What's your? Because we've asked you before about your top 5 tomatoes.
All right. Yeah, I'm growing all those this year. I mean, Amish sherbet there on the right, that's an amazing tomato, and it's hardly any seeds in it and really solid and just really tasty. But Alice's Dream, extraordinary, and Lucid Gem, just amazing flavors.
Yeah.
I'd grow them. Well, I'm growing them all again this year. Yeah.
I wonder how many people are looking at these now and going like, "Oh, we thought." I remember Emma at, I always say Forget Me Not Garden because it's always the same, and that's a bad. But the Garden of Emma channel, I remember her saying to me once before, like when I first started gardening, I honestly thought there was just red tomatoes, and I think so many people are like that they just think this, and then you get a little bit shocked then, don't you, when you see all these ones. Claire, I've seen some of the pics you've shown as well, like these ones from Tomato Revolution, like that.
Yeah.
Looks like it's out of space, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Are you growing both of these this year? Both of them?
I am, yes, I am. The one I'm most excited for, and I think I sent you a picture of it, is Crushed Heart.
Let's have a look. Is this it? No.
And that one that I can't pronounce.
Luffa.
That's the one.
Yeah.
That looks nice. No, I think it was, I did send it. I think I sent it on a picture. I think I sent you 3.
Yeah, I believe you have. Hopefully this is it. There
There
you
it
go.
is.
So I think Crushed Heart, I believe Claire at
Growing Plotty.
Growing Plotty. She grows those and she swears by them.
Yeah.
And she sent me some seeds, so they're on the list. I couldn't do them last year because they didn't meet the cut, only because I was growing so many random varieties and I got a bit over the top of them. But this year they're on there, and I have actually had some off of Plotney, but that's the reason why they didn't make the cut, because she was growing them next door, so we did a bit of a bartering thing. But they're beautiful tomatoes. And they're quite chunky as well.
Yeah, didn't look very big on that picture. It didn't do it justice, did it? It looked
No,
small
but they
next to the
are
other
pretty
ones.
much a bit like a pig's heart size.
Yeah.
I know about it. Kerry dog in the plot. Don't listen to that bit. Oh God. What about this one, AD? What's this? Look at all these. That's a nice little harvest. Nice trugs, AD. Nice trugs.
I know, yeah.
I approve of those.
So the big ones on the right hand side there, the Grushovka.
Oh wow, really?
Yeah.
Yeah, good size, aren't they?
Yeah, they look nice. You look like you really get into it. Was this you just tasting them at AD?
I was saving seed there.
Wow. I think that's the way forward, though, isn't it? I think that, like, Chris, you save a lot of your seed as well, don't you? Like
Yeah, every single one that I grow, as long as it's not F1, as long as it's an heritage or something, then I'll save the seed. Yeah, everything. Yeah, and they don't all make the cut. I've got some that are years old, but just hang on to them. Might grow them again, but I mean, I had one last year. I can't remember the name, but I swear when I tasted it, I did a taste test of it. It tasted of old socks. It was disgusting.
Oh.
How did you know what old socks taste like?
Well, you just remember as a kid all those changing room smells. Oh.
Oh right, I see what you mean. I thought you were
tastes like the smell
like a
of
trauma story. Now
I won't tell you all of it on air. No.
Jamie, what was you going to ask then?
I was just going to say, how do you go about saving tomato seeds? You just dry them out and put them in an envelope, or
it's
take it away.
really easy. If you grow like a heritage variety, which like the ones you're going to be given, at the end of the season, you just get your tomato and it's really ripe. So just cut it in half, and then with a jam jar or any little pot, you just squeeze the seeds out into that. Make sure you've got about an inch of water in there, and then you just put a bit of tissue paper over the top and leave them for about 5 to 7 days, and they'll start going a bit moldy on the top and a bit smelly. So basically at that point you want to scoop the mold off and put them in a sieve, and then run cold water over them. Just rub them around in the sieve, and it'll take the gel off the outside of it. And then if you take the seeds then when they're all clean and put them onto some tissue paper or just on a plate and let them dry out somewhere, and then when they're dry, put them in a little plastic bag or something, they'll be fine for next year.
I'll pop a link up now as well for people who are going to watch later on, because there is actually a part 1 to this, Chris, where you do show. So Jamie, you clearly didn't watch that live, which was about a month ago.
That was that brief.
I'm pretty sure I did. I've watched like all of them.
You skipped through it because Chris spent 20 minutes showing everyone how to do this.
He
But I'll
did
put a
it
link
live
up
on
now.
air.
He did it live on. I'll put a link.
Well, I
up
didn't
now.
have the mold and all the washing, did I? But
No,
yeah.
but don't go watch that now. But there is another tomato special which Chris was on.
It's really easy. You can't do it with all
Yeah.
tomatoes. You're not F1s or stuff because they're two parents bred together. If you save seeds from that, you could get one or the other. You're never going to get the one that you saved the seed from. So it's got to be like a heritage variety. Yeah.
Chris, I know you mentioned earlier on, but these lucid gems,
They are beautiful.
Oh, they're just amazing.
do you rate those really highly?
Well, they were going to be number 1. They were just picked by Alice's Dream. But I really do rate those. Yeah, I guess it depends what you like. Some tomatoes, like the dark black ones, have like a really umami sort of savory flavor, don't they? And I know a lot of people like that, and they really don't like sweet tomatoes. But these are they're sort of tropical in flavor. There's a sweetness to it, a little bit of umami because of all that anthocyanin on the shoulders. It's just pineapples. There's all sorts of flavors. I really like them. But again, we all got different taste buds, haven't we? And so
yeah.
You might not like them.
I'm really looking forward to them. They're the ones that I'm.
And they sort of glow as well. They're like there's like a little light bulb in them. They sort of glow iridescent. They're just amazing.
Yeah, Claire,
Hello.
you've got a bit of a growing station now. What's going on here?
That's one of the peppers.
That's not a tomato.
No, that's not a tomato. That's a pepper.
Is that now?
It is. Well, they're a bit bigger than that now.
Fantastic.
It's like a little jungle going on in the kitchen at the moment.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, you're taking it full steam ahead this year, Claire. Like this is your first year with a polytunnel, and you're at the stage where I was about 2 years ago when I was obsessed, totally obsessed. They're like a big growing station and all, but that will be starting soon. I've got a big Vitapod that's going to come in here, and it'll take over this room. But so one more live, and then.
It's knowing when to ask Claire about the loofah. That's my sister that's just said that. I could show you the loofah. It's behind me on the floor.
Go on, let's
here.
show us your loofah.
Let me just move this out of the way.
I'll show you mine as well because I've had to re-sew mine.
I just have to take my headphones out.
Mine's doing okay, but yours is like a giant compared to mine. Mine will die off like it always does.
There seems to be this thing about loofahs at the moment. What's so special about loofahs?
Right, I put my headphones back in.
You spend 6 months obsessing over a sponge.
I know.
A very rough sponge.
I know. Yes. So that's one. So that's Luffa, the loofah, and then next door to him we've got Lex loofah. So yeah, they're in the garden room because they've got a good 6 foot that they can grow in here now in front of the windows. But I've got lights on them at night, but. Yeah, it's warm in here, so they're all right.
If I have missed your question, repeat it now. If I have missed it, but I have got a few here that says one just asked who are One Direction.
You must be living under a rock.
I know, story of their life. Ooh. And who has grown Barry's Crazy Cherry?
No.
I haven't got any seeds for these, sadly. They were rotted off as well. So I'm a little bit gutted about this one because everyone raves about it. And the last year I had the seed, I gave half a seed away and I kept the other half, and that's the ones where the fungus knocked them all off. So yeah.
I grew something like it. I've never grown those, but I grew Galapagos cerise last year, which somebody gave me some seeds for. And they're the same sort of massive trusses of hundreds and hundreds of tomatoes, but they're all much smaller than them, but bright yellow still, but they're much, much smaller. But I haven't grown them. I think Lucy, she goes red, she sells those seeds.
Ah,
James gave me those seeds, so I'm just going to do it outside.
Yeah.
who gave you those seeds, lady?
Jane Kelly.
Jane Kelly gave you seeds, did you? Because do you know what?
she did.
She always whinges about me sending seeds, right? Ask her what she sent me seeds-wise. Nothing. She did send me a box of chocolates last time I was ill.
Hint, hint.
Hint, hint. You know, I've up the ante this time. Claire, I thank you so much for your.
You're very welcome.
I don't know what this is. It's like this enigma at the moment. If I'm ill, people send me things, and I think it's fantastic. It makes me want to be ill. I had yesterday the door knock, from Gem in the Garden. I had another trug, and I had a bottle of red wine in it, chutneys, some cheeses. So yeah, I don't know why. I feel like every month I should just say I'm ill.
So what you're saying is really you're going to go cartwheeling along the allotment tomorrow because there's nothing wrong with you really. You just wanted some free gifts.
Yeah. A bottle of wine in one hand and some cheese.
I did think that though. I thought with the wine, I thought, well, that's going to go on the shelf for about a month or so because I can't drink wine at the moment.
Oh, not with the tablets, no.
No, but yeah, never mind, eh? But yeah, thank you so much, Claire, for your sweet treats.
You're very welcome.
I wasn't expecting it at all.
No.
What is the most difficult tomato any of you have ever grown? I'm glad you brought this up, Jackie, because I could rant for hours about it. Go, everyone.
Black Beauty.
Really?
Is that difficult?
Well, they're not difficult, are they? But every time I grow them, they're either deformed plants or the tomatoes are tiny. It's just a nightmare, so I've given up on them.
I grew them every year. I've grown them every year for 3 years, and they're the most neglected tomatoes that I do. I put them in the back of the polytunnel every year. Yeah. And do you know how bad it was? It was that bad. This is how easy they were to grow. I had so many on the truss, and when I looked underneath, a rat or a mouse had buried a hole underneath the plant. So I couldn't even sort that out because a rat had made the bottom of the truss its hole. So I was like, oh. Yeah, that was a couple of years ago.
So you don't have any problems with them then? So, right, okay.
I found the Black Beauty. It's really nice stem. It's a nice colour.
Right.
Yeah.
Is the Rebel Starfighter like that as well?
There's the Black Beauty. Look at that.
Yeah. Oh, mine were like, my stems were joined together and growing and all twisted.
Wow.
And the first year I grew them, I don't think it had any flowers on. They were enormous plants. And
it could have been the. Do you think it might have been the seed?
I think it probably was the seed. Yeah. So I won't say I got that from.
But yeah, some people hate Brad's Atomics and things like that. And I remember Tony C. Smith. Every year he shows his Brad's Atomics. And they always look quite spindly, and the leaves, but he has lovely fruit.
Yeah, he swears by them, doesn't he?
But the plants never seem to at the start. They seem to really look a bit scraggly, and he brings that up a lot and says, "Look at they don't look like nothing." But on my side, maybe it's my climate or something. The plants are lovely, but they do take a bit of time to get to the top. They're one of the slowest ones, and they're one of those tomatoes that they're nice. And I personally like them. And I know Linda on the Feel Good Garden, she that's the one tomato, if I asked her what would she want out of my polytunnel, she would always ask for those. I'd always be giving her buckets of those. But they're one of those ones that are not going to be ready, not even one going to be ready until September onwards. It's just one of those things.
Let them go right to the end, don't they? They are really nice, aren't they? Yeah.
But they're there. That's the worst. The most annoying thing is you're watching them for about 2 months,
squeezing them,
and you're constantly. And I know when they're ripe.
Yeah.
Because like when you check, your testicles. We're gonna go from that now, but. It's pretty much like that. So I've tried explaining that on my video once before. I said, just give him a little.
Nurse can get away with that, can't he?
Just that, and also if you just kind of tilt them like an apple, they tend to snap off when they're ready. But with a Brad's Atomic, I found if you put a little net underneath or something, they're pretty much they're ready when they fall off. They're quite squidgy. And you kind of think, they're overdone. They're not. When they're squidgy and falling off, they're perfect. Beforehand, they're tough. they're tart, the skins are really hard.
Mm.
But yeah, ask Digwell Greenfingers. He claims that I sent him the dodgy seed once. We called them Chad's Atomic because they didn't quite. They had more of a point at the end. They look more like a teardrop, but I think they were cross-pollinated, and that's what happened. Not his
So
fault or mine.
They're your worst ones, are they?
Yeah.
What about
The
AD?
hardest, the hardest thing I find growing is what's that one that everyone not rope, San Marzano. They forever get blossom end rot for me.
They're a paste, aren't they? Tomato, are they? For
Yeah.
making sauces.
Sauces, yeah.
Mm.
So
Yeah, I haven't grown those.
what's Tony just sent me now?
A picture of some medallions.
And I just sent you a picture of my medallions on WhatsApp. What's a medallion, Tony?
Oh, it's where the flowers grow together, is it?
I've
Is
never
that what
seen
they call a
before.
mega bloom?
Yeah, I think so. I might be wrong, but
We've got.
That's when you get cat-faced tomatoes, don't you? They sort of
I
grow
got some
out together like that.
last
Wow.
year.
Some people take them off. I take them off now because I can't be bothered with them, and they sap a lot of energy, I think, from the rest of the truss. But
Chris, there's a reason why I always ask you on you. You claim you don't know nothing, but you know everything. Has anyone tried planting fish heads under the tomato plants?
Shall we
I've
ask
seen people
Terry?
put eggs underneath.
Seen
Crack
the egg
eggs.
thing?
Yeah, not fish heads.
Some people put aspirins under as well, don't they?
Yeah, I've seen that. Or they spray with aspirin too. I've seen
Yeah.
people spray.
I think the thing with the spray with the aspirin is that it tells the plant that it's got this chemical in it, and then that's kind of what it makes it defend the plant. I think that's pretty much what happens with them. I've explained that terribly, I know, but what are your top? Go on, Clay. What's your?
I was just going to say, a bit ago, Steve Digwell, I think it was, asked
We don't
if
mention
anyone.
that man's name on you.
Sorry. Asked if anyone had used JBA Blight Guard.
He swears by this Blight Guard.
I've not heard of it, so I thought I'd bring that one up.
So Clay's now going to go order 10 gallons of it.
No, not heard of it.
He swears by it. I've never used it because I don't really have a massive issue with blight. I don't. Maybe it's luck for me, but I've never used it. So, Jamie, you're probably sat here today thinking, "Oh my god, I got so much that's going to happen." We're probably scaring you with all this.
No, it's all the part of the learning curve, isn't it? Like,
yeah.
So if I can learn from you guys, it saves me making similar mistakes. Hopefully,
Exactly.
Is this your very first year of growing?
Yeah. So
fruit veg?
I did have a plot for roughly about a year, but I literally just did onions, potatoes, beetroot, and pumpkins. That was it. So
that's pretty good though to start off with, though.
Yeah.
Lottie Plotty has said, "What are your top tips on growing tomatoes?"
Get your sister to sow them for you.
Get someone to grow them for you. My top tips would be: don't sow too many because then you'll end up trying to get rid of them, and you will get rid of them. And also, don't think I'll squeeze that extra one in the polytunnel. Give them the space they need and more, and they'll give you more crops later on. But what about you, Chris? What about you at AD? Go on.
Don't treat them as being precious. I'm forcing mine, so I'm doing not much water, no feed, and as you can see, they're just going away nicely at the moment.
I completely agree with you, AD. In my polytunnel, I did that last year, and I gave them a feed now and again when I felt they needed it. But I think if you're over precious with them, and I mean, like, and I've said this before, like the last month or so before I harvest, I don't water at all.
Yeah,
I let them really suffer, and then I find the tomatoes are more dense in flavour and they're just a nicer flavour. And then I have the big harvest then. But you've got to be careful that you don't then water, or if they're outside and then they're watering and they're not watering, that's when you have the problems then with splitting and things like that. So if they're outdoors, you have got to keep that watering going because rain then will oversaturate. Chris,
You
go on.
men, right, don't you? Yeah, don't crowd them too much. Make sure you prune off the branches, the leaves as they get taller and taller. I don't know. I tend to have like a third of the leaves removed at any time, and we'll follow up as I go up, and that helps with airflow and helps prevent blight and so on getting stuck in, and splash up from the ground. Obviously, any sort of germs and stuff that might, bacteria and stuff that might come up.
Do you take the side shoots off and plant them sometimes as extra tomato, especially if you've had poor germination or not many seeds like Danny had got?
I think a lot of people do that, don't they? I know Steve did, who sadly passed away, but
bless him. Yeah,
I basically don't, because I haven't got any room for them.
No,
I've tried it before, and they take ages to catch up, and I just haven't got the room. But I know people do it. Yeah, it's totally valid way of doing it.
Yeah, I think what he suggested was to do it at the start of the season, but don't do it later on, because it doesn't come to fruition.
I think the first year I did it, I was saying, I love that one, that's when I stick them in a jar, get roots, plant them, and then they're about 2 foot high with no tomatoes in it.
I wasn't even that precious. I remember snapping off, pushing it in the soil, and that's AD. I go by you. I think if you're obsessing over your tomatoes like that, then they give you a good harvest anyway. But I just think,
I did see something very interesting on YouTube the other day. It was some guy in America. It was a short, and I'm going to try this with all my tomatoes this year. And that is topping. I don't know if you ever tried that, but basically you get the first leaves which come out, the cotyledons which come out, and then they shoot up a bit more and get their first sets of real leaves. And this guy, what he was doing, he was taking out the real leaves, leaving the cotyledons, and then they would shoot out 2 shoots from the leaf node where the cotyledons meet the stem. And so he'd be growing up on these 2 really strong leaders, rather than just one. And so he was saying he was getting like double the amount of tomatoes off each plant with that. So I was going to give that a go this year, but I don't know if anyone who's watching has done that.
I've just done a video for how I'm going to do mine as, which one is it? This one. I'm going to put it down into the soil to about there. I don't know whether you can just see, but there's the first side shoot going off. So I'm going to put it down to the soil there, and then as that one goes, I'm going to then put it up to the soil to this next level, and then to the top once that one goes off. So I'm growing with 2 side shoots. Yeah,
same sort of thing. I think he was saying that basically you nip it out sort of straight away, rather than letting it get as tall as yours. But I think yours is quite relevant. I've seen people do what you're suggesting as well. Yeah, it's a good idea.
It's worth a go. I think sometimes in your garden you'll come up with these ideas, and then someone might have already thought of it. But it's nice to try, though, isn't it? Like, if you don't try, then and I think that's the best thing about gardeners. Like Jamie and Claire, really, they're in a position where they got the exciting part now that I missed that. I missed that you kind of learn the expectations of the tomatoes, and like to us, like this sounds really, really sick, this does. And I said this to Claire too, as well. I'm not looking forward to her failures at all, but because Claire definitely will get them, like we all do.
Well, I know.
But we all get them. But what I mean is, because it's your first year and you've got all that set up now, I want to see how you're going to cope with. And I know that'll be a brilliant video where you'll, because you're very honest with how you're going to do everything that you do.
Yeah.
But I remember when I first started gardening, the pressure that you have on to try and succeed in everything is immense. And then one day you will just think, do you know what? 1 year the cabbages are going to work, and then the garlic won't, and then the potatoes will, and then something else will. And because you've got such a perfect setup right now, which I think you have, it'll be quite interesting to see what works and what doesn't, and then what you're going to do next year. Will you move things around, or will you restructure things on? Because I got a feeling that you won't be satisfied with this growing space that you've got right now. I feel like you're going to expand next year. That's my prediction for Claire. I feel like you're going to get Duncan to pull that fence out, and you're going to have another 12 beds put in.
Well, yeah, maybe.
I don't know yet. Because I look at this growing space and think Claire's not good enough for Claire. For many gardeners, but not for you, Claire. I feel your ambition.
I think this year it'll feel strange because I want to grow a lot of everything, or even a little of everything. Whereas next year I'll grow a lot of less, because I'll know what we didn't like, or what
Yeah.
I just didn't think was worth the effort.
I think that definitely comes, with the more you grow, the more you
But until you
decide what you
keep
like.
growing it and trying, you just don't know whether you want to keep growing it, do you? I mean, my sister has 32 potato tubs. 32 potato tubs. I don't know where she's putting them, but she's got 32 tubs of potatoes.
Excellent.
And I'm like, oh, yeah.
I think
that's a whole dumpy bag of soil in itself, isn't it?
I think like that's Tony O'Neill. He's got about 30, 40, maybe 50 odd. You're probably right in the chat now how many he's got, but he's got the. I don't know why he wants so many potatoes.
Tony's the tomato tub king, though, isn't he? Really?
He's the tomato.
Sorry, not tomato tub, potato tub king.
Definitely.
Yes.
You can say that quickly.
Potato and compost. That's his thing. Well, that's what
I should tell him, because last week I mentioned about trying to get my compost hot, but I couldn't see the chat until afterwards. But we're in the red zone now. We are cooking. The compost is cooking. We have heat.
That's not bad.
I know.
But I don't stress about compost much. I'm not going to go on to that because that could be a whole live.
Absolutely.
I think AD got cut off. There we are.
He's back.
Welcome back, AD. That happens to us all, don't we? Even happens to the host sometimes. Yeah, I just think I do try and get my compost. I'm trying better this year. I am going to be better at it, I think. But
you don't need to worry about buying compost, though. Locke supplies yours, don't they?
That's why I don't need to. Thank you, Locke. And if I had to turn that heat now with a broken ribs, I wouldn't be able to do it. So he does.
I've been shoveling manure like for the last 3 days, getting it ready for next season already. Like
don't act like I haven't done that, because I did do it last year. I'm no one for reliant on anything like that. I do like getting manure and stuff. I can't actually get any this year, which is a shame. But the one thing I noticed, that the beds that I put the manure on that I had last year, there's a lot of bindweed in those beds this year, which luckily I weeded those beds before I damaged my ribs, so they're ready to go. But I did notice that there was
You think it was in the manure, do you?
I think so, but it could have also been from the next plot over. But
I mean, horses wouldn't eat bindweed.
No, I think sometimes they grow in the piles, don't they?
Yeah,
they
can come out of the. Oh,
and the piles that are well rotted that I took, that that was brought over. It could have happened. Yeah. Kerry from Dog on the Plot. She's one of you ADs. She's one of the posh gardeners. How close can you get away with planting toms?
I think it all depends, doesn't it, really, on perhaps the variety you're growing, whether you're growing a dwarf or a little house tomato like you're growing there, Claire, and or whether you're growing, indeterminate determinants. But I mean, I squeeze in 3 plants into a 1.5 meter section, so I get 6 plants in all in that section. So yeah, there are probably rules. Don't get them too close.
No, I personally think give them as much room as you can, and you'll never ever stick to that rule. You'll always push the boundaries, and people expect when they see my polytunnel a lot of the times to be like quite pristine with the tomato plants. They are very orderly, but I treat them terribly. My tomato plants, I strip off a lot of the leaves and I let them starve at the end, and purely because I've just learned over the years that they're not as precious as you expect them to be. And also, by the time you get to like September, you are sick to death of tomatoes anyway. So you're just like, they're all going in the same. I remember growing all these varieties thinking, right, I'll make sauces for every single one. And by September, October, I was like, they're all going in the same vat and they're all making one ketchup. But yeah,
you don't have to treat them too softly, do you? You just basically gotta. I think if you keep the leaves pruned off and the side shoots and stuff, and you've got a lot of ventilation, you can probably squeeze more than you think.
Claire, how many are you going to put in that polytunnel? How many tomato plants?
Well, I don't know now, because obviously we've picked up a second greenhouse. So I've got one greenhouse with staging and one that I'm going to grow in. So actually, the polytunnel doesn't have to grow as much as it was going to. So
does the staging? Did the staging lids lift off as well? Or are they permanent?
No, I'm not. On one of them, I'm having L-shaped staging, and I'm leaving that in all the time. But I mean, some of the little chilies and peppers could stand up on there, the smaller plants. I thought the aubergines might go on the floor in there. And then the other 8x6 greenhouse is just going to have beds in. So I thought peppers, chilies in there, which obviously that means nothing needs to go in the polytunnel. So I could have more tomatoes. But obviously I've got the Luffas that are going in there. I've got melons to go in there, kidney beans to go in there. So there's a lot going on in the polytunnel. But yeah, I'm hoping to have maybe 10, 12 tomatoes in the polytunnel.
Wow, I was expecting a lot more than that for your size polytunnel.
No, I am gonna grow some outside as well, just for the sake of it, you know, in different areas, just as a catch-all. But yeah, I think that's. I don't think we're going to need more than that.
Has
really.
anyone, Chris, maybe your AD, have you ever done it where we've had a bit of a leggy tomato plant and then you've planted it on the side and let the whole stem then turn into a root system?
Yeah, I did that 2 years ago. Basically, I laid them on their side and then bent them up gently at the end. So basically, I think it was probably a good 1.5 feet. And so that was actually.
Did you find any benefit for doing that?
Not really.
No, because I felt the same thing.
Particularly.
I remember seeing the video a while back about it, and then I thought, I'll try that. And then I tried it, and I understand the science of it and why they would do it, because then you'd have a lot more root mass. But I didn't think it benefited me massively. No. Jane Kelly, here she is trying to fight away with the technology again, Chris. So who's using heat and grow lights for their tomato seeds? I'm not.
No.
Really, Chris?
Oh no, that's not true. Heat mat. That's all.
Yes, I've just bought 2 because I found my chili plants were sulking a little bit, and I figured once they come off I had them in like a little, what were they called?
Propagator.
Thank you, Claire. A propagator is quite a small one, but I have got a large one, like I said, the Vitapod. But I felt like these 2 little ones, and this is probably not wise. They're only about 2 foot long, and they came, and so I'm gonna I found the chilies at the moment. I don't know if it's because it's cold in this room. They're really, really sulking, but as soon as I put them back on the propagator and got some heat, they've perked back up. But my chilies are doing.
See, I took mine off the heat. Mind you, my kitchen stays at about 18, 19 degrees even overnight, so it's not cold in there.
Yeah, like this one. If you look, the leaves started to like crimple up a little bit.
Oh,
but they were but as soon as I put the heat on them, they're okay. This one's starting to have little chilies on them and everything. That's a cayenne. So, that's not good.
So without the glow lights, if they start getting leggy, would you just pot them on and put it in deeper?
Yeah.
And then obviously that will then put roots in where you've replanted it, would it? Is that how
for tomatoes? Yeah.
Yeah.
Is
that
can do.
Similar with like other veg, or is it mainly just tomatoes that does that? Is it?
There's
mainly
some that
tomatoes,
you can do it with. Yeah. So don't do it with like cucumbers, because cucumbers will tend to rot off. Tomatoes do it well. You can do it with like potatoes. Brassicas, you can do it. It doesn't do anything to the stem. The stem stays there. It just doesn't rot off. But
be quite good for brassicas, can't it? I think, because they don't like rocking, do they? And so you can bury them a bit and quite hard, and they quite like that. I think.
Jamie, is there anything that you would like to ask everyone that you might not know or you're worried about?
I don't think there's anything. I don't think there's anything I'm overly worried about. I mean, the man that's got the plot opposite me, he's 87 years old and he's been gardening since he was like in his teens. And I do quite often stop and just have a chatter with him. Do you know?
He might know Jane Kelly.
You rotter.
There's not anything. I mean, obviously, I'm in most weeks on your lives and asking questions and stuff, and everyone is.
Not on the other tomato live, you wasn't, Jamie.
I'm pretty sure I was, but I must have just like dozed off or something.
You fast forward.
Fell asleep. It's even worse.
Fast forwarded Chris's part, didn't you? Tell them.
I can't blame him.
Well, you can't fast forward a live, can you? So I must have just in one ear out the other or something. I don't know.
Yeah, he's always there for people to. I do think that live was quite a good live, though. That one was.
Yeah,
it was.
You know, it was quite informative, and I think that one will be rewatched later on a lot, and even by myself because.
Yeah.
But yeah, Chris, that was mainly Chris. I'm putting him down to that.
Oh, thanks,
But
but I doubt it very much. Yeah.
But are you excited about starting like an allotment?
I can't wait to get growing. To be honest,
Yeah.
I mean, I've got like all my potatoes and the single seed challenge. That's on my windowsill.
Don't you mention that man's single seed challenge on you. You all keep bringing this bloody dig with green fingers up on my channel.
Yeah, and then I've got like some silver skin onions ready for pickling, cabbages for my chickens, lettuce for the chickens. So I've got a few bits.
So you growing that veg for the chickens, and they're not for you?
Yeah, I mean, me and my son might eat some of the lettuce and the cabbage, but that's it. My wife and daughter don't like. They like sweet corn and beans at a push. So.
One thing I would suggest
sweet corn. Yeah.
One thing I would suggest if you are growing for your chickens, and I grow these purely for the chickens, is grow Swiss chard and just put it at the back of the plot, and they'll just keep growing and growing.
Is that sort of like a grab and grow? You just cut
you could just keep picking the leaves off and stuff, the big leaves and stuff, and it'll overwinter quite well as well. And the chickens love that. That's a good source if you sow that now for chickens. There's a couple of things that I could suggest as well, and also a perennial kale. They're another thing as well. If you can get like Taunton Dean, I've got a plant on my plot that's been there 3 years, and every now and again you just snap off a side shoot, push it in the ground. And it kind of does the same sort of thing as a tomato. It reroots, so you can put them in pots as well, and you just can make more plants. And then, but the main plant I've had 3 years is in the plot, and it's like a big bush. And in the winter, it overwinters so well, and nothing tends to bother it. You can net if you want, but pigeons haven't bothered mine, to be honest. And in the winter, I just snap off a few branches, and they've got greenery for the winter. So perennial kale, people love it. It's it tastes of like cabbage, but I grow it for the chickens because it's a good source of it. But Swiss chard is another thing. Grow that, but you can grow a lot of things for chickens. Just to have a whole a whole bed just for chickens as well. There's a lot of flowers as well.
We're gonna have loads of different cabbages. I think that's my plan. I think I have actually bought some. I'm not quite sure on the variety, but I'm sure I have bought some kale, or I'd say I bought it. Santa brought it for me, along with a few other bits. So I think
I told you not stop bringing up that man with a big belly that sends things to people. That's Digwell Green Fingers. I think he's gone now. That's why I'm having a bit of jest with him, because I've just seen that he has to shoot off. There you go. That's another one as well. Mel, this is another one. I've got seeds for as well. Sturian cabbage for Jamie. So that's another one. That's a tree cabbage. So it just basically just grows like a big tall plant. You just keep snapping branches off, but it'll save you wasting all that space on cabbages for the chickens.
If I can have something that's constant there, and
you could grow 2 of them, and they'll use the height rather than the outwards.
It's definitely handy.
But just someone else just said, if allotment of the dead, has just said pigeons have decimated their perennial kale, so maybe just net it then. But Kalets is another thing as well. Sprouts I tend to give to the chickens. Maybe we should do a chicken live. Annie's just asked a question. Has anyone lost their overwintering onions? Mine have loads of growth, but the bulbs have gone soft. Oh, that's
loads
a
of
shame.
mine have done nothing. Loads of my overwintering onions, they're not even. There's like a tiny bit of green at the top, and nothing else on them.
Yeah, my sister's just pulled hers up. Hers were exactly the same.
That's all right, Jamie. I've said this before. I told the right pair plot before. Roots before shoots, so you're all right. As long as you give them a little.
I'll need to have a little dig and see.
But they'll be all right. Annie, that's probably through all this cold weather we've had, and then the frost on top is probably just. But that's a bit of a shame, really, Annie. But I think a lot.
Rachel's were the same as well.
Really, I think a lot of people.
I know Rach did that. Yeah, I'm a sister, so it's just been really, really wet, hasn't it?
Yeah, I think I think it's just one of those things of overwintering onions, but on the other hand, with my climate where I am, I've not had problems with my onions this year. I feel that this year might be the year that the overwinter onions might be okay, but the ones in the polytunnel, they're looking marvelous. So maybe Annie, you could grow some in pots in your greenhouse next year, because you won't be using it then. You could just bring them out in buckets and things. Maybe you could use the old triage area that you had, Annie. But Jamie, I'm excited for you, mate, because you've got a good.
I'm really looking forward to it, like getting stuck in. I'm down most days, well, obviously with the chickens, so it's like I'm going up it sounds silly, but I'm going up to where my garlic is coming through, and I'm checking it daily and doing daily weeding, and I'm like, oh, there's a bit of grass there, get it out.
You sound like Clay. You sound like Clay. Clay's exactly the same.
What grass? What weeds?
Yeah.
What weeds? There's no weeds.
Oh. Yeah, I think it's. I love how many people now are asking for a chicken live.
We're not allowed
I'll take-
chickens.
Really?
Yeah, not on the plots, not at all. No.
Is
No
there a
livestock.
reason? No livestock at all.
Is that because of rats? The fears of rats?
Well, I don't know. The first year I took on that allotment, they basically had a huge cornfield next to it, which was sort of a cover crop for pheasants because they do pheasant shoots in the area. And so we had hundreds of pheasants.
Cover your ears, Kerry. Dog in the plot.
We also had loads of rats that year, but since they haven't done that this year, we've had hardly any. So it's been quite
Are there
good,
houses around the plots though?
No,
'Cause
none at all.
Oh no,
On
because I
the hill.
thought chickens can be noisy, can't they, for
Yeah,
some residents if they complain?
It's church
on that-
land. I don't know if that's got anything to do with it.
Well, maybe because I was his council run, and our law, I think this is for the whole UK, is that if it's council run, because they have to provide you an allotment. There's no time scale for when they have to provide it you, but they have to provide you some land. If there's 6 or more, I think 6 or 8 people go to the council and say there's no allotment in our area, you have to provide one. There is a law for that.
Really?
So there's a law that if 8 people in your village go to the council and say there's no allotment for us, they have to try and find land for you. But there's no time scale. So they don't have to say, okay, we have to give you by next month. It could be 10 years. But they do have to start the ball rolling. So there is a bit of a nag with that. But the chicken thing, there is actually in our area, and I think this is, for the whole country really, that we're allowed 12 chickens maximum per plot.
Right.
A goat or 1 pig. Or and there's hit and miss rules with pigeons and things. So they're kind of trying to push that out now. But yeah, that's why my chickens. I lost quite a lot of my chickens over the winter, which I was really upset about. But I think they might have had avian flu or something because quite a few were knocked off. But I think the winter didn't help as well in their age. But I normally tend to keep them at 10, not 12, so that I've always got room. So if something happens or someone needs to
So you keep them for the eggs, do you? You both keep them for the eggs?
I'm not even a massive egg person. I tend to give them away. Yeah.
But you, Jamie, are you egging them or?
Yeah. So I'm in 2 minds whether or not to, if anyone's vegetarian, cover your ears. I'm in 2 minds whether or not to actually to raise some of them, because the Buff Orpingtons, they're like a really big hen. So I'm not sure.
Pretty.
Yeah, but that's one of the things. And plus, my kids have given all the chickens names. So
If you named it, that's it. You're doomed.
Yeah,
Can't eat
that's
it.
Jamie, I'm going to tell you now, do not even mention that on your YouTube channel or it'll be the end of your channel.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't do it like straight away. I'd let them live their life, and then obviously,
you'll be all right. They're all gonna be moving away to a farm, and they're gonna live out their lives, Kerry. Promise. Pigeons are just rats with wings, Ali just said. Yeah, they can be. I think that you can stop them as much as you want, but they'll always be around when they're. And if they go, I know a lot of people who hate squirrels, and I mean, there's quite a lot of YouTubers that can't even bring it up because they get really angry about these squirrels. But I actually encourage squirrels on my plot. I'm like, yeah, have a couple of things if you want, because I like squirrels, so I don't mind. And they say you should have the bird feeders because they'll trap them. I don't mind.
Never any trouble with squirrels. So when that cover crop was there, I used to see them running down the lane with a great cob in their mouth. It was really funny, like boing, boing, this great huge piece of corn sticking out.
That's why I kind of want to grow some of the tomatoes and things outside, because I want to say to the wildlife, I need to put a sign there. You can eat these.
No,
Stay out of the
Don't
polytunnel.
work like that.
It doesn't work like that, does it? No.
No, they'll still. But then I've never had a problem. But I know many people that will lift. I remember there's a guy next to me, and it's the only time where I almost thought he was going to swear. And he's a Christian man, and he was so angry that he just planted all this crop and he netted it all the way around. And I watched a squirrel go under and take out every single crop. But and I'm not saying I watched it in amusement, but there was nothing I could do about it. By the time I came around, he'd taken out the 6 or 10 crops that was there, and he just kept pulling them out. So I put them back in, and then he come back down. But I think they're quite playful things. I've actually got some that live. So in the chicken coop in my, in the coop, there's actually another layer, an attic up above that, and that's actually got a nest of squirrels in there. They never bother getting into the chicken coop, but they just live there. They've got a hole there. I thought it was rats first of all, and I'm happy for them to stay there. But I'm sure other plot holders probably hate me for that. But yeah,
No, that's great.
I like squirrels, but I know a lot of people, especially. Go on.
So I was just going to say, with like nature and same as Mother Nature, I don't think there's any point fighting it. You just sort of got to adapt,
control it a bit.
You just got to protect yourself against it, I think. Yeah. I remember seeing Sean James Cameron getting foxes turning everything, and I said, "Well, why didn't you cover it and net it or something?" But he never did. So,
no.
Yeah.
What about you, Adi? Do you have any problems on your plot?
Not really, no.
You seem to have the perfect environment.
I feed the pigeons with seeds, so they just go around and eat all the weeds.
Wow.
So I don't have those.
We used to have a chicken.
Mice, that's my problem. Yeah, I don't want sweet corn.
Wow.
Yeah, rats on sweet corn are a nightmare. Yeah. But
have you tried the sock method where they put?
That's what I do. Yeah, I put socks over them, and it works perfully. Ever since I started doing that.
So, Chris, now you like smelly socks.
I'm going to say.
This is twice you've brought this up now. If anyone wants to send Chris some new socks, let me know. And
we have a distinct lack of them now. They're all down in the shed.
They're all down in the shed. Yeah. Oh. Wow.
But no, that's really good. I recommend that. If you do have a problem with rats and you've got sweet corn, then just cover the cobs with socks and just pull them down, and they'll grow in it fine. And then I have no problems at all. It's amazing. And they are clean, the socks.
Well, I had squirrels, and I'm sure I got rats as well. And my corn on the grapevine, not last year, the year before, if anyone remembers, they were huge. And I never had one taken from there, to the point where I thought, should I take them off now because I'm tempting fate? And that's what I did. And I don't know. I think it's just one of those things. I think if you have a particular, rodent or pest, they do pass it on then to their generations, don't they? So it's just one of those little things. They go, come and have a look. But yeah,
I was fine. Do you, just talking slightly differently, but on nasturtiums and things, do you grow nasturtiums to attract the bugs over the butterflies to that, not to your brassicas? Because I was thinking, well, you're going to put nasturtiums, I know they're going to go there, the butterflies, but surely then you're just bringing in more butterflies and they're more likely to find your brassicas.
I always grow nasturtiums next to my runner beans, and I always find the black fly go to those rather than on the runner beans. And so I've never really worried about the butterflies or anything like that. But the black fly, they love nasturtiums, and I'm not sure you can't even see the nasturtiums in the end. The grapevine, they're just black. And then what I tend to do then is I tend to nip off with my hand and put them in a bucket. So the flowers and the leaves tend to.
And they sort of bounce back at the end of the season, don't they?
They bounce back. I've got nasturtiums that I had a little plant pot over the top of them over winter, and I popped them off yesterday and had a look. And yesterday, and it was fine. I was that bored. I was literally tiptoeing, looking for little things I could do on the plot, but I was in too much pain. So I was like, this is not working.
I was looking through my seeds yesterday, and when I planted the tomatoes and stuff, and according to the seed packets from the selection of seeds that I've got, I can sow 89 different varieties of plants in March. So there's just so much to do at the moment, isn't there?
I think that's the problem, and like Jamie will go through this now, is where you need to really sit down, Jamie, and work out how many beds you've got and measure them. And you really do need to measure them really and think, okay, I can only fit 12 cabbages in there. And that's why my beds are all 3 foot by 10 foot, because I know I can do 2 rows and have a nice bit of space in between. And it's perfect for me. So I got like a 10 by 3, and I tend to put 20 cabbages in that bed because they have a foot, maybe 10 or something, but I can get quite a few in there and crossing them over. But don't start sowing all this stuff, and then that was the stress of my first year. I remember thinking, I cannot put all this in, and it was just all in. I remember having sprouts that I literally had no way to put it because I had one plot.
Yeah, they should have 2 different types of seed packets, shouldn't they? Should have beginners seed packets, 20 seeds, a bit more experience, 4,000.
Yeah.
Because it was in the beginning, your first year, I know I did it. I ended up with like masses of plants of.
And you don't know what to put out.
Don't know what to do with them, yeah. You squeeze them all in.
I think
AD, what's that? Yeah, well, chickens are perfect though.
Because I want to obviously have some cabbages, so it saves me buying them every week at the shops.
Yeah.
In that sense, but.
Succession sowing, yeah, that's an art form, I think.
Yeah. AD, are you looking forward to your season coming up? Like, what's that thing that you're really looking forward to doing?
I'm not sure really. I suppose tomatoes. That's what you always get excited about. It's all planned out. I've planned out where I want to go.
Of course.
That's it.
I'm always fascinated by your channel, though, AD. That you seem to, if you haven't got a space for it, there will be a space for it. Or you're quite a planner, and you're quite handy as well. And you like, I watch your thing. And I think how you plan things so well, and I think everything always seems to look really. That's
just the camera angles. That is.
But it always seems to look like it's coming together really well. I think, God, he's got it. He's got his head screwed on. But I think that about Chris until I started to get to know him. I started to think,
Fair enough. I was just looking at the front of your site, AD and so on. Do you build a lot of those structures? Like,
I've built it all,
all of it. So if you haven't already, take a look at Jamie's, Chris's, Claire's, and AD's channels. Give them a subscribe. If you have a YouTube channel, I'm going to do the formality of stick it in the chat now with the word YouTube, and people can then later on come over and subscribe to your channel as well. So if you've got a channel now, type YouTube with capitals in. And I'm going to say thank you so much for everyone coming on tonight. I know we did digress a little bit, but I hope you got something from this. And next week we've got Ali on, Robin from Robin's Garden. Is that right, Claire? Am I getting all this right?
Yeah.
Ali from the Rusty Garden. And also we got Jane Kelly on again. And we've got I'm not going to tell you who the other person is because he's not a YouTuber, but I watch him on Instagram, so I'm going to give him a little bit of time as well. No.
Oh.
It's not Harry Styles then.
Harry Styles for Jamie, it is.
I was thinking Harry, but not that Harry.
No. But yes, but I offered you Instagram accounts to come on, but this is person I'm watching him, and he's in the same sort of thing as Jamie, where he's starting and trying new things. He's got beautiful at growing things, but he's comical as well. So yeah, I do find him really comical on Instagram. So he'll be on next week, but I'm sure you'll give him all a warm welcome and all.
Definitely.
But yeah. We'll. James just said Prince Harry. Yeah, he's the spare. He's the spare. William couldn't come on. So yeah, and just to let you all know, I've checked the royal update. There's nothing wrong with Princess Kate. She is fine. I'm just making a point of it now because I actually had someone message me about that from America saying, "Do you know anything about Princess?"
Yeah, the UK is so small. We all know each other, don't we?
No, I don't know, but I found out she's fine. So thank you so much, everyone, for watching, and we'll be back next week. That'll be the last one, but then there will be one like once a month. I think there's going to be one once a month because I want a few YouTubers. I know Chris, I'm going to nag on to come on again because I want to have a update of his plot and stuff with his tomatoes because of the ones that we're sowing here. So if you haven't already and you want to look at Chris's, I'll put a link for his little book as well because Gem in the Garden, Right Pear Plot. Claire, have you got one? If you haven't, you should be having one of these, Claire. Have you got one there? He's got a book out as well.
I've rejigged it. I've improved it.
Yeah. I bought one for my sister too.
There you go. Jem actually messaged me the other day saying, you know what, I've bought a few of these books over the years, and I'm not just saying this, Danny. You recommended Chris's book, and it's absolute Bible, and she absolutely loves it, Chris. She said it just ticked every box for planning the garden. So if you haven't, I'll put a link underneath for it. And also, I'm going to say as well, Tony O'Neill's book is out as well.
Yeah, I saw that.
So he's got his book out. I
It's
promised
number
Bestseller.
one.
He's on
Bestseller.
the bestseller. Yeah,
I
brilliant.
was supposed to mention it last live, and afterwards we were talking. And I said, we didn't. But yeah, so his book is out as well. So go over to his channel, and there's a link over there. I'll put the links for this over because I know a lot of people watch this live, and then God, it goes to about 1,600 afterwards as well. So there's quite a lot who watch this. So thank you so much for everyone who watching these and keeping them going, because I didn't want them to be as long as this. But
that's good. I can't believe the time's gone already. It's amazing.
It's crazy how long it's gone. But yeah, so I'll say goodbye to everyone now. I'll put the links in for the channels and also for Chris's book and also for Tony's at the end. So we shall see you all again next week for the last one. And then who knows when the next one will be.
Great. Thanks, Danny. Yeah. Bye.